Hello, hello, good to see you. Oh, you get fairy dust, and I get fairy dust, and Amelie gets fairy dust. Doo, doo, doo. And it's time to head back into Melody Beatty's Codependent No More. We're on chapter 4, which are the codependency characteristics. And we're just circling the ones that seem true. We're a few videos in, a few categories in. Where if you have the book, it's page 43. We're on repression. So many codependents push their thoughts and feelings out of their awareness because of their fear and guilt. Absolutely. This is kind of the norm. Like, this is, all what a codependent does is kind of sacrifice their thoughts, their needs, their interests, etc., because they're so busy taking care of the other people in the house, that we're kind of forced to block those off because it's so fucking painful to live vulnerably. It's so fucking painful to be who you truly are. It's almost it's too painful. It does not compute when you are in a toxic environment, yet you are in touch with your goodness, your wholeness, your needs and wants, etc., is too painful. So we got to shut it down. We got to shut it. It's too painful. And so we shut it down. A lot of people, I think I used to call it a box, but it's also like a wall or whatever. And it feels like we're so fucking crazy. Like, we're so fucked up, messed up, too far gone, that we don't recognize ourselves. We don't know ourselves. We, didn't used to be like this. And so it feels like it's gone. It feels like you killed it. It feels like you can, and yet you did not. It was impossible. You are still in there. Every part of you that is good and little, maybe, and vulnerable, and the part of you that knows what you know, is still in you. And for me, the healing was for me to, and this is how I see the work I do as a therapist, is like help lift, clear the wall, clear the bricks, find a little escape out of the box so that we can be free. So that's how I see it. So again, this was absolutely true for me. We become afraid to let others be who they are. Okay, let me say that again. Become afraid, I become afraid, or you become afraid to let themselves be who they are. That's exactly what I was saying, but it's telling us why. The reason that it's not only too painful, it's too upsetting, and it's too scary. I don't know. I mean, I used to always have this thought, like, oh, if they only knew. Oh, if they only knew. Oh, if they only knew, then they wouldn't like me. If they only knew the shit that I've done, they wouldn't think I was so great. If they only knew. And that was feeding into the whole imposter syndrome, and that was feeding into just hiding, being scared, being trapped inside of me. So we are scared, and for good reason, because we had to shut it down, because we couldn't, we did that to save ourselves, and now it has outlived its usefulness. So now we're going back and we're healing it. We appear, this is still under repression, we appear rigid and controlled. Oh my God, just so embarrassing. Just all this discourse around, if you don't want to, or, you don't have to, or if it's too hard, all these, and tons of disclaimers, which I still do sometimes, but sometimes I find a disclaimer extremely helpful. and if it doesn't go how it's supposed to go, then the bad thing can happen. Or if it doesn't go how it's supposed to go, then you'll think ill of me. You'll think that it's not just like the caterer came late. It's like I'm a piece of shit. So it's, we feel like we need to be in that kind of control. Okay, now we're going to move over to obsession. Page 44. Codependents tend to, and just circle the ones that seem more true for you. They don't all need to resonate, and you take what you need and leave the rest. Feel terribly anxious about problems and people. Yes, because it's impossible to be in control of all the stuff that we were trying to be in control over. So we get anxious about all these things. Worry about the silliest things. I don't know about the phrasing of that. I don't love it. But the stuff that I worry about, I can see how that might be silly to people. And in the grand scheme of things, being worried about X, which again, the world might say is silly, is not silly to me. And we can be upset about little things or things that don't seem important, but they're important to us. And for us, it might be like the linchpin, that if we're not worried about, getting the right signatures, or if we're not worried about, being on time or any of that, like it just feels like the whole thing will blow up. And we can also, if I'm worried about this candle, and it just seems like, why are you worried about the candle? Like, why? Like, that's silly. But this candle might represent the whole kit and caboodle. This candle might, if I don't remember to bring the candle, then I might not remember to bring this, and this. And, but for me, as far as healing this shit, I have to own and understand that it's not silly for me. It's very, very important. And somehow, symbolically, my needs and wants have landed on something that seems extremely silly, but to my psyche and to the way that I have survived, it is not. All right. Think and talk a lot about other people. Oh, people love to be in a triangle with a codependent. Oh, we love to tell a codependent our shit. Like, oh, we can't wait. Oh, it's so exciting. Also, in a dysfunctional family system, knowledge is power. So somebody coming to tell you about shit that, that's happening in the family, like that is, a feather in their cap. Like that's, so anyway, so yeah, and so part of our healing, it's fucking frustrating as anything, is to stay out of triangles, to stay out of a triangle. A triangle is if I am talking, if I'm talking about, about something that my husband did to my kid, that is triangling. You see, it's in a triangle. Oh, and somebody this morning when I was having a session, she's like, fuck trigonometry. So good. Fuck geometry. Fuck psychological geometry. Like, we don't want to be in any kind of psychological geometry or trigonometry. So the triangle, the person tells you all the bad things that this person did, so that this person will go tell this person, and then this person doesn't have to be the bad guy. This person doesn't have to worry about what to do. Now he's handed the baton off to you. So, oh my goodness. So yes. And so part of our healing is like we have to practice not gossiping. Like we have to practice never talking about anybody who is not present. And it's fucking hard, and I break that rule all the time. I do all my personal growth work imperfectly, but it's the goal, because we might think a triangle's innocent, but ooh, it can get us in a pickle real quick. Lose sleep over problems or other people's behavior. Yes. Worry incessantly. Never find answers correct, because codependency is not about It is not about finding answers. Codependency is about drama. Codependency is about survival. Codependency is about the relationship addiction. Codependency is about getting hooked and getting hooked and getting hooked and getting hooked, but not about problem solving, not actually solving problems. And so that can be another hallmark for us, is that, oh, if I don't know what the fuck to do, I should solve the problem. Let me find out what the problem is. The problem isn't this person doesn't want to ride with that person or whatever. It's, how am I getting to the party? How am I getting to the grocery? What am I going to do about that? As opposed to, so I need to solve that problem. Not the family isn't the problem. The actual problem is the real world thing that needs to be handled next is what needs to be solved. Not that my dad's acting like an asshole or my mom's acting like an asshole or something. That's not the problem. Or that my mom or my dad or my sister or my friend or my cousin or my coworker is treating another person like shit. That's not my problem either. But what is the problem? I mean, how do we solve the problem? There's lots of different ways. And even to go have empathy for the person that's being yelled at or whatever, that can be part of the solution. But it could also be part of the drama in case we are acting from our codependency and not our true problem-solving mode. So I hope that was helpful. We will continue with obsessions. And when we heal, we get to be free. We get to be free of obsessions. It's so freeing. And then that leaves room for you to be creative, to be real, to have connections, like real connections that bring you joy and put the wind underneath your wings. So I hope you thought that was helpful. I love you. Bye.